Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we're going to be taking a look at some more previewed rules called the Strands of Fate ability for the Aeldari. Before we get started, remember to like and subscribe, share it with your friends if you like Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and of course warcry content as well. Everything from rules, reactions, reviews, to tutorials on painting, converting, magnetizing, lighting, or anything in between for your tabletop needs. So let's take a look at what this article has to say over on Warhammer community. So if you're not familiar with the game or you haven't been in it for a long time, one of the biggest changes ever was when they implemented the reroll of dice. There never used to be rerolls. There was no such thing as a command point reroll or anything like that. So it was once you rolled your dice, if you left it with the 1, that was it. And then we obviously saw that has become mainstream and there's rerolls all over the place. And then obviously we saw a next iteration of that rule, which was the Sisters of Battle and their ability to essentially use miracle dice. And now we have a whole nother level. And in my opinion, this is power creep to the fullest. So it says, pluck the best dice rolls from your future with the Aeldari Strands of Fate ability. They may be teetering on the edge of extinction, but the Aeldari aren't going down without a fight. The craft worlds are locked in constant struggles for survival, such as the one found in Eldritch Omens, which is available for pre-order tomorrow. Faced with such insurmountable odds, asuryani seers stack the deck by weaving the Strands of Fate. To claim victory, you'll need to scry destinies, twist futures, and keep hot dice. As with the battle focus ability we previewed yesterday, Strands of Fate is exploring the upcoming Codex Aeldari, but the datasheets in the Eldritch Omens booklet list it too, so start using it right away. Forewarned is forearmed. The Strands of Fate gives you a vital weapon in the eternal war against bad rolls. This powerful mechanic allows you to exert a measure of control over your luck at critical moments, provided the future is kind enough to show you the outcomes you desire. So here's our Strands of Fate table, and it says if every unit from your army has the asuryani keyword and is drawn from the same craft world, excluding models with the Anrathe and unaligned keywords, then at the start of each battle round, you can make a Strands of Fate roll. To do so, roll 6d6. You can then retain a number of these dice depending on the size of the battle you are playing, as shown below. So for combat patrol, you retain 2 of these, so you roll 6 dice, each of them being a d6. Combat patrol, you retain your favorite 2. Incursion, you retain your favorite 3. Strike force, you retain your favorite 4. And onslaught, you pick 5 of the 6 dice to save. The manipulations of fate begin at the start of each battle round, so you can access the Farseer's meddling throughout every turn. Choose wisely when picking which dice to retain, but don't hesitate to use them. The future is always changing, and any leftover dice won't carry over to the next battle round. So assuming we're playing a big game, we're going to roll 6 dice at the beginning of the turn. We're going to pick our favorite 5, and then we have that whole turn to use them, and then at the beginning of the next turn, we'll throw away all those dice, and we will start over again. So Strands of Fate continued. So now it shows what the dice roll mean. So for our dice results, we have 1 through 6, and then the type of roll is corresponding to the number rolled. So 1 is advanced roll, 2 is charge roll, 3 is psychic test, 4 is hit roll, 5 is wound roll, and 6 is saving throw. And again, you can find this chart or pause the video if need be. Before making a roll of any of the types shown above for a unit with Strands of Fate ability, if any of your retained dice have a result corresponding with that type of roll, as shown above, and have not been used to manipulate a roll this battle round, you can manipulate that roll if you do so. So assume you're about to make a charge roll. So you're going to say, okay, I have a 2. I'm going to use my 2 for my Strands of Fate dice pool, and then I will do this ability that I'm about to read. If that type of roll involves 1d6, e.g. a hit roll, do not roll a dice. That roll is treated as an unmodified roll of 6. But in this case, it involves more than 1d6, which is our second bullet point. If that type of roll involves more than 1d6, e.g. a psychic test, treat one of those dice as an unmodified roll of 6. Do not roll that dice. Then roll any other dice and add up the results as normal. So for a charge roll or a psychic test, you're going to roll, basically use your corresponding fate die, which in this case, the charge roll would be a 2, the psychic test would be a 3. So you would remove that and spend it, and then instead of rolling your 2d6 for your charge or your 2d6 for the psychic test, you would automatically have a 6, and then you would just roll your second die. So it is basically each one of those dice that you save at the beginning of each turn is an auto 6. The number on the die just tells you what you can use that dice for. So, for instance, let's say a saving throw. if we have a saving throw, which is a 6, so you roll your fate dice at the beginning of the turn, you roll 1 6, you save that, and then you now have an automatic 6 for a saving throw at any point in time during your turn. So for that clutch save that you need, or for instance, if you roll a 5, that's a clutch wound that you need, or a 4 for a hit roll, seems a little less important, obviously. But whatever it is, there's your ability. So it's auto 6s basically that you're saving. So you're going to have essentially, if you roll 6 dice and you get to pick 5 for a large size game, you're going to have 5 auto 6s every turn. But the numbers you roll on those dice are going to determine what you get to use those 6s for. So pretty wild. Unlike the Adeptus Sororitas, who use their faith in the Emperor to store rolled dice for later use, the Aeldari's delicate mastery over fate allows them to maximize the result of any dice, as long as you've foreseen the specific type of roll. And as you can choose which result to retain in each battle round, you'll have plenty of options for avoiding a critical failure in even the smallest games. So if you hit something and you know that it auto dies as long as you wound it, or say it doesn't have an invulnerable save, or you're about to do a mortal wound and we really need something dead, this just guarantees that kill. As where with a reroll, you could still have a poor reroll. With this, it's a guaranteed success, in that situation. So very, very powerful rule, and definitely very much manipulating the game mechanics. Perhaps you need your new shroudrunners to snipe a crucial mortal wound onto an enemy leader, or your howling banshees are about to launch a pivotal charge. Since the manipulated dice counts as an unmodified 6, your visions will even allow you to activate certain abilities, like your beefed up shuriken weapons, as if you rolled the result naturally. So for things like a sniper rifle that procs mortal wound, that gives you that auto wound and then the mortal wound that follows, or for say like the shuriken weapons where a 6 would proc additional hits. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Eldritch Omens would be your first chance to use the Strands of Fate in your games. Perhaps it's narrowly avoid damage from Worrying Thunderhammer meets Autarch situation. It goes on pre-order tomorrow in the full Codex Aeldari, following in the not-so-distant future. So it doesn't say exactly when it's going to follow or anything like that, but, I mean, this is like next level. I don't know if it said specifically anywhere, and have not been used to manipulate a roll this battle round. You can manipulate that roll if you do so before making a roll of any of the types shown above. So if you had a charge roll and you wanted to make a long bomb charge and you had 2 2s saved up from your Strands of Fate, I don't see anywhere here where it says you can't just use those 2 2s, one for each of those dice. Before making a roll of any type shown above, for a unit with the Strands of Ability of Fate, if any of your retained dice have a result corresponding with that type of roll, as shown above, and have not been used to manipulate a roll this battle round, you can manipulate that roll. If you do so, if that type of roll involves 1d6, do not roll a dice. That roll is treated as an unmodified roll of 6. If that type of roll involves more than 1d6, treat one of those dice as an unmodified roll of 6. Do not roll that dice. Then roll any other dice and add up the results as normal. So I don't know, they probably will have to errata this. It sounds like the way it's worded or rules as written that you would only be able to use one manipulation for a 2d6 roll. But again, you could manipulate that charge with a 6. So you automatically have a 7 right off the bat because a 6 and then the worst you can roll is a 1. And then you can roll your second charge die, and if you don't like the roll on that, you can command point reroll that second die. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely just some next level power right here. Again, the Sisters of Battle stuff is awesome. The Adeptus Sororitas stuff is awesome. But this is like taking it to the next level, or at least as competitive. So we'll have to see how it all balances out. Whenever we see like the rules creep coming out, it always seems like it's going to be completely game breaking like crazy. We don't know what these models are going to be pointed at. We don't know anything specifically other than what's been revealed. What we do know, though, it's very hard to accommodate or compensate or factor in the price of something like this that can be used on any die and that you get a bunch of them every turn. Because the probability of you getting a bunch of 6s on your 6 dice and then getting to retain them is not very high, but there's still going to be turns where you have a bunch of charges that you can automatically like hit basically, or a bunch of wounds or a bunch of saves just because you rolled particularly well. And then this actually technically, you would think that this ability is stronger in bigger games because you're rolling more dice and you're getting to save more dice, but actually in smaller games, it's going to be really powerful. Because if you're playing a combat patrol, one, you're only rolling so many dice in your turn because your forces are smaller and your opponent's forces are smaller. But you're also still rolling 6 dice and then picking the 2 you want. So if you know that you're going to need some auto hits or some auto saves or whatever, you're going to pick your best dice. So in many ways, the smaller games benefit just as much, if not more, from this ability. Even though you get less Strands of Fate dice to use, you get to pick the ones that are the most important. So you get a little more likelihood of getting what you want, but a little less versatility by having a large number of them. This seems very powerful to me. I like it. I think it's cool. I like the idea of it, and the Farseers doing all their stuff. The Aeldari have always had like the Farseers giving like rerolls to hit or wounds, etc. This seems like absolutely next level. Anytime you can like auto pass dice, that's crazy, because a reroll is already very powerful. But to know for sure that you have this sitting on, the back line ready to go, and you can just be like, okay, automatically wounding with this and then doing mortal wounds, and we don't even know about some of the tanks or something like that. Like, we don't know what these big grab tanks are going to do. There may be some weapon from them that ignores invulnerable saves, so having that auto 6 to wound is going to be huge. There may be something that does a bunch of mortal wounds on a hit, like one of the big tank weapons or something, in which case that 6 to hit or 6 to wound might proc a bunch of extra mortal wounds. I mean, it could get wild. It could get wild. There could be something with the psychic test. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but this seems like a very, very powerful rule. So let me know what you think. Does this help sell the box set for you, or the Aeldari as an army? Are you curious to see how this all meshes out? Does it seem like there's definitely some power creep going on? I mean, we saw a bunch of stuff from the Tau Codex, and then the Tau Codex has arrived, and we see like the full view of it, and it definitely seems like Tau are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And now we're seeing the Eldar come out, and they're having some pretty powerful abilities as well. Being able to fire and fade. If you didn't check out that video, highly recommend you take a look at that, because that is going to change the game. Being able to shoot and then move out of sight. Essentially, like, you're breaking the turn of the game. Normally you would have to move and then shoot where you're at, and then you can't move again. Being able to move, shoot, and then move again allows you to do things other armies cannot. And then this obviously breaking the mechanics of the game by not having to roll and having automatic successes. Definitely seems like we are pushing the threshold of some wild things here. So let me know what you think down below. I'm curious to hear what you think. I'm already planning on starting an Aeldari army. Looking forward to it, and it looks like some of these rules are going to be fun to play, but are they going to be fun just for you and they're going to be terrible for your opponents? Are they going to be fun for everyone because the points and the units will be balanced accordingly? Or is this power creep just getting to like the next level and going to eventually break the game, and we're going to be back to like full-on Death Star, like unkillable chunks of armies or like wild units, etc. So let me know what you think. It seems like if you haven't gotten your codex yet and you're bummed out about that, you're probably better off, because the longer that goes by and the more power creep that takes place before you get the codex, the better it's going to be. So if you're the last one to get your codex, you may not get to play with it a long time during this edition, but your army is just going to be the best army ever for like those last couple of months or whatever. So let me know what you think down below. I'm curious to hear your reaction reviews. Are there any crazy combos or anything you can think of, situations where this would be just absolutely amazing, nailing that advance roll that you need, or nailing that saving throw or wound, etc.? Yeah, let me know down below. But that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, we have our Strands of Fate newest rule release for the Aeldari. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share it with your friends if you're into Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, or Warcry. If you like these reaction, review, and news videos, anything like that. Or we are also a commission-based studio, and we show off all our commissions as they leave the studio. I also show off our techniques for painting, converting, and all kinds of other cool modeling and creating type things. If you're into tabletop, wargaming, and the likes, make sure to like and subscribe. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.